unapologetic, unadulterated, unrelenting, and uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio, and we're glad to have you. And of course, the telephone number is 646-787-1933. 646-787-1933 is your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. Make sure you join us. Tell two friends, tell two enemies that you found the haven of intelligent black thought, and even if you are a fool yourself, you will at least appear that you got some sense. Now, tonight, brothers and sisters, I want to tell you about something, and we've known about this for a little while here, okay? But it is important at this place, the haven of intelligent black thought, it is important at this place that we know what we're talking about before we speak on things. It's important. A lot of other people try to be first. This is a place that tries to be right. And after tonight's broadcast, if you do not believe in the failures of the civil rights generation, if you do not believe in their failures, then I don't know what else will convince you. You're just beyond hope. You are just beyond hope. Now, I have a video that I want you to hear here. I'll let you listen to it for yourselves. And then when I come back, we'll discuss it.
The Jackie Robinson West story was one that thrilled a lot of people last summer. First in their neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, then across the entire city, then across the entire nation, and eventually into the White House. But all those good feelings when they won the U.S. championship came crashing to a halt on Wednesday when they announced they had been stripped of their title because the adults had falsified info, including boundary maps. Several players who were ineligible for the team actually played in Williamsport. In my mind, it's unfortunate for the 12-year-olds who capture our heart. They went to Pennsylvania and represented the city of Chicago and then the nation very well. What the Little League World Series should have done is suspend the adults involved, but let the kids keep the title, because this is really what we're at the root of. It was a bunch of kids playing together, doing things right. Where does it matter where they're from? I understand that there are rules, but the 12-year-olds did not break them. They just were like, hey, oh, Johnny's on my team. That's great. We stand a great shot of winning. I think Little League World Series was right to pursue the allegations that originally surfaced last December, but I think they went about this the wrong way. Punish the adults, let the kids go free.
Major League Baseball is considering shrinking the strike zone after out-of-control expansion led to a depressed offensive environment around the game.
Wrong one there. I was trying to go to another one, but we'll just come back to that later. Now, you live in a society that's at war with you. You live in a society that sees itself as at war with you. And I'm not overstating it by using these terms. I am simply articulating exactly the situation that you find yourself in. They see themselves as at war with you, and they are starting, not ending. They are starting by targeting your children. Now, baseball is a sport where black children don't have a lot of resources, a lot of formal training, and that's what makes a lot of white supremacists feel like they are safe in sports like golf and hockey and tennis. Because schools will subsidize football and whatnot, but baseball is a little bit different when you get at the little league level. Baseball is a little different. And yet here you have, once again, out of nowhere, with people asking, is it genetic? Is it just genetic for Africans to just excel at sports physically? Is it just genetic because these kids didn't have the big facilities that a lot of their white counterparts have, and yet out of nowhere they came and dominated? Out of nowhere. And because of some bureaucratic snafu, they're telling them that, oh, well, you're not qualified. Now, all hands up who didn't see this coming. All hands up who were under the impression that white supremacy does not start by targeting your children. You see, we have to get them early. We have to get them young. We have got to take these kids and crush them. We have got to crush them before they can even think about starting to go anywhere. We got to get them early. We have to get them before you have even the opportunity to talk to your children about out. You've got to kill them before they can even contemplate doing anything on their own. You've got to. You cannot allow them to even begin thinking about doing something on their own, because we have demonstrated the ability that what they call a prodigy, we have demonstrated that's just an everyday thing. We've just demonstrated that that's just an everyday thing. That's what we do. We have demonstrated that excelling is just what we do. And I want to know, where's your backup? I came here tonight to find out, where is your backup? Because you see, when little white kids come up missing, it's headline news. We stop the presses. It's nationwide breaking news. But black children are targeted for denial, death, and destruction every day. And all of a sudden, we can't talk about that. And in other words, cheating up there, it was cheating. How was it cheating? It wasn't like they were putting 18-year-olds out there. They didn't do that. Well, they're not from in the same neighborhood that you all are in. Well, that was a lines issue. You see, when you're black, you don't lose on the field. And that's why they hate sports. Ever since they let us into it, they despise sports now. They went from Babe Ruth, when Babe Ruth did the ultimate sin that he was given a, he made more money than the President of the United States. They gave him a contract for more money than the President of the United States, and when the press asked Babe Ruth about it, Babe Ruth's answer was uncompromising. His answer to them was, well, I had a better year than the president did. I had a better year. And that's the president. Black men are expected to bow and scrape and play step and fetch it. Do you all really think that they were proud to see a young black female steal the show, striking out white males? Do you think that made them happy? Do you think they were just saying, hey, that's great? Do you think there was anyone in the dominant society talking about that was a wonderful thing. I'll wait for you. You show me anybody who thought that was a great thing. That they were just so happy to see that. Don't you know from the moment that those kids took the mound, they were already poring over it saying there's got to be a damn loophole in here that will allow us to take the title from them even if they win. Even if you succeed. Even if you succeed. Gotta be a loophole in here we can use to take that from you. If you want to know why I am so unrelenting, if you want to know why I am so uncompromising in my positions, if you want to know why I call you bastard baby makers, if you want to know why I call the hoes and sluts and hood rats and deadbeats and dusty niggas what they are, you go take a look at those children of Jackie Robinson West. That's why I do it. That is why I do it. I do it for them. Because you see, it was their grandparents that put these children in this position of being helpless and defenseless in the face and the onslaught of white supremacy that is going after them in the deadliest place that you can go after a child. A child doesn't have money. A child doesn't have socioeconomic progress. All a child has is the beginnings of an idea of their worth as a human being, and they are trying to crush these children. They are trying to crush them as children. They're making it clear that for everybody else you're a child, but for you, ain't no children on the black side of town. There are no children, not when they're black. You're not a child. Trayvon Martin couldn't be a child. Tamir Rice, they don't want him to be a child. And now these kids at Jackie Robinson West know you don't get to be children. Oh, no, 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 no. This is societal warfare. Social warfare. And my question to all of you is, why is it that your grandparents and great-grandparents did not build institutions for you to be at? For those of you who watch 7 a.m., for those of you who have seen 7 a.m., you saw the chapter about the Negro Leagues where I laid it out for you. The only place that you have ever seen anybody explain it to you step by step. How we went from having a major league franchise to having nothing. And your children are in school today with white supremacists who despise them for the crime of their unforgivable blackness. With white supremacists who wish to ethnically cleanse them as a condition of their breathing. And you have left these babies helpless to have their ego and their self-esteem and their self-respect destroyed. That you went from being called winners to being called cheaters. And you did not cheat. They didn't cheat. But they keep using that word cheating. They did not cheat. They didn't have adults out there playing, and they didn't pretend to be hitting the ball when they really weren't. They did not cheat. But when you're black, and you have just trounced white supremacy, oh, hell no! Oh, hell no! No, 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 no. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen. Because power is not about equality. Power is about power. Power is not about fair play. Power is not about a level playing field. They want power so that damn level, that playing field is as unlevel as possible in their favor. That the playing field is tilted in their favor as much as humanly possible. They do not want to compete against your children. They want it to be a foregone conclusion before they ever even walk in the room that they have won. That they're simply showing up is what validates their victory over you and, more importantly, over your children. They're not playing about this. They want to destroy your children in their cradles right where they are. This is not about fair play. This is not about sportsmanship. This is about destroying you in the womb. This is about crushing you where you are. And we have given them the power to do that. Because black people do not want to be the face of power and ownership on our own terms. We don't want that. We don't want that. Because as black people, we understand that if we were the face of what we were doing, then other people would treat us like that. And we understand that. And our goal is not empowerment. Our goal is integration. We want to integrate. So that's become our goal. That has become our priority, is to integrate. And you see, if we go start our own institutions and our own organizations that we own, then there will be no need for us to integrate. And so many of you, you consider getting the pat on the head from Massa to be unfinished business, that you have now sacrificed your own children on the altar of your inferiority complexes. And it's things like this that make me wish there were a hell so I could see you fry in it. That you would have the gall to sacrifice your children. You shamelessly and unhesitatingly sacrifice your own kids, your own grandkids, your own babies. And you do so without a care and without remorse. Those children got that Little League championship taken from them because their elders sold them down the river in a Faustian bargain decades ago. I submit to you tonight, those children never should have been out there on that field to get that taken from them. It should have been in an institution and an organization that we own, that we control, and that nobody can shortchange you in. But that's not what black people do now, is it? Nope. That's not how black folk operate. Because you see, just down the street at the Grammys, here comes Kanye West again. Making a public spectacle of himself because he can't sell records like that. Gotta keep his name out there for something. And here they are. Kanye, Rick Ross, Manny Fresh. Here they are, Nicki Minaj, trying to get their employers at the corporate music labels, trying to shame these people into giving them something. Why is it you're not letting black folk win any Grammys? Because the Grammys were made for white folk. They weren't made for you. That's not how power works. You don't gain power so you can give it away. You gain power so you can get more power. And if they keep giving black folk all the awards, then guess what happens to them? You see, other people are not so silly like black folk are. Other people are not going to work against their own best interests. Black folk are silly to do that. Other folk don't play that silly game that we play. They don't play that game. Black folk do. We play the game that we will get that validation from other people is worth as much as money. So Kanye West has embarrassed himself again, embarrassed his family, embarrassed his children, embarrassed everything to run out there like a damn fool and try to shame these people, trying to shame white supremacy into no longer favoring itself. What he is not going to do is he is not going to say, he'll go out there and complain and whine about what white folk are not giving him, but he will not go out there and say black folk need to build our own. Why is it he just doesn't take it to the next logical conclusion and just say that? Black folk need to build our own. Why doesn't he just do that? All this complaining, why are you not saying the next rational, logical thing? That black people simply need to own our own. And there's a reason why he's not saying that. The reason that he's not saying that is because the very folk that he would be speaking against, those are the people that he depends on for his daily bread. You cannot raise your hand to people you are dependent on. How is he going to sit here and assert himself against people that he is dependent upon? The people who pay his bills and pay his paycheck. No, he's not going to say anything against them. That's daddy. That is the hand that feeds him. And the hand that feeds him is also the hand that slaps the hell out of him. Think about that for a little while. Think about how shameful that is. Think about how disgustingly shameful that is to have that as your father. Well, guess what? Most of you, your fathers were the same way and are the same way. They are not grooming you and teaching you in the ways of power. They're not doing that. They are teaching you to beg massa today the way that they begged massa 50 years ago. 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And I'm watching children, young children, who finally, don't you all know that for black children, for somebody to congratulate them and celebrate them on their accomplishments, don't you know how rare that is for black children? You got white corporations paying for your children to shake their butts to prep them for a life of whoredom. And here you have a bunch of black kids, and you've shown them that they don't have to sit up here and try to be rappers or basketball players or booty models, that they can actually assert themselves and excel as a group, as a team. And what they did was they showed you not only that you cannot excel, understand something. Do you know what them telling you, oh, you're not from the same side of the town that these other kids are on, so that's why we're taking this away from you. You're not from the same side of town. Do you know the effect that that has? Do you know that the kids that were quote unquote from the wrong side of town, do you know that at an early age, what they are doing is they are implanting it in these children's heads that there's a good side of town and there's a bad side of town. But there are no white people on the bad side of town. So they're teaching these children to blame it on black folk. Blame it on other black children. So now these children are going to associate bad. They're going to associate failure. They're going to associate cheating, which means by relation they're going to associate criminal and illegal with their brothers and their sisters simply from another side of town. You would never have white supremacy sit up here and let you tell them that their children come from, quote, the wrong side of town. You would never let them do that. Now, it was a white supremacist who sat up here and was, checking on the school, and I do understand that. I do understand that. And now his school seems to have some credibility issues. But understand something. He's not worried about that. He's not worried about the credibility of his school. Why? Because they already got their butts kicked. They already got their butts kicked. He's not worried about the credibility of his school. That doesn't bother him. He's not concerned about that. They already lost theirs. But what he is doing now, what he is doing has absolutely nothing to do with grades, with districts, with baseball. He is showing you what they are really getting together for when they go on that Little League field. That's what he's showing you, that when they get out there on that Little League field, you came to play a game. They came to build power, wealth, and influence, and they want that to be reserved for their children. They will be damned if they are going to have their children starting at the childlike level envying the position of young black kids. They are going to be damned if they're going to have their children looking at your children and saying, I wish I could be like them. And your great-grandparents and grandparents and parents sold you down the damn river because they looked at little white kids and said, I wish I could be like them. That's how subservient and cowardly and kowtowing the last 3 generations have been. That they now want you to bow and scrape every bit as much as them. So they prepared nothing for these children of Jackie Robinson West. Nothing. These children of Jackie Robinson West were just left to dangle in the wind. And that's exactly what you do when you're being lynched. And if you've got any arguments about that at this point, there's no saving you. You are simply beyond salvation. There's no saving you. There's no helping you. Because you want to believe something. You don't actually want to know something. I want to know. I don't want to believe. I want to know. And that's why these people do that. They are targeting your children for destruction. I can't make it any simpler for you. They are targeting your children for destruction. Your kids. They're going after the kids. And now they're being brazen about it. They're not even being coy anymore. They are going after the children. There used to be a saying back in the hippie era of the 1960s. The saying used to be, don't trust anyone over the age of 35. Don't trust anyone over the age of 39. There were several variations of it. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight, you can't trust the civil rights generation. Most of you can't trust your parents. Damn sure can't trust your grandparents. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. Because they didn't prepare anything for you, and worse, they did not care. That was not their goal. And now I'm watching as young black children are being trampled by the bastards of the civil rights generation who said, I'm not going to build nothing to own. Let these kids make it on their own. I had to get it myself and you didn't get a damn thing. Let these children get something on their own. And I'm telling you that if you are age 45, 50 or older, that especially that mid-50s, 55, 60-year-olds, that civil rights generation, pretty much for most of you, to hell with you. Because you are the reason that those children's hopes and dreams got crushed. You are. Because you left them helpless in the face of the white supremacists that you knew were coming for them. You left these children helpless. You left them helpless. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here now and take a couple of phone calls. I got a few other things I want to talk about, including the beehive. Be right back with that in just a moment here. Let me see if I can grab caller from 781. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Sammy. I'm calling from the Boston area.
Okay, you say your name was Tammy?
Yes, Sammy.
Okay, Sammy. All right, Sammy, calling from Boston. What's on your mind?
Well, I kind of have a question. I actually turned 24 a few months ago, and I'm kind of in a predicament. Like, I actually don't know, like, what it is I should actually, like, major in college. Like, I was thinking of computer engineering, but I just don't know if it's, like, a good major.
And that's one of the great majors you can take. Computer engineering, computer programming, IT, accounting, any engineering, to be totally honest, but especially for computers, that's exactly where you want to be. What you want to stay away from is psychology, sociology, liberal arts. You want to stay away from those because you're not going to be able to do anything with those. The things that deal with like mental health and just talking to people and dealing with other people's problems, you want to stay away from that because there's nothing out here either as an employee, definitely not as an employer, for looking at, you know, social issues or psychological issues. There's no money in that. So as long as you're not chasing those ghosts, you should pretty much be okay outside of that.
What about if you want to, like, own your own business? Like, what's the best major you should go for?
Okay, you are young. You do not go to school or college to learn how to run a business. You learn a bit.
I understand that.
You learn a business by doing. There is no college course that will teach you or help assist you or prepare you in running a business.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the great canards. That's one of the great canards out there, is that you all think that there's a class called business administration. And you think that they're going to teach you, they're going to in some way prepare you or help you to run a business or put you in a position that it has something to do with running a business, and it has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. There is no college course that will help you with that, including the very deceptively named business administration. It's an administrative class. Paper pushing. It is not going to prepare you to be an entrepreneur. Nothing prepares you to be an entrepreneur except doing it.
Okay. So do you think I'm better off trying to see if I can start my own business, or do you think I should just go ahead and just go for computer engineering? Because I'm still just kind of confused.
First of all, you're 24, so I can understand. Unfortunately, you don't have a luxury that I had. Definitely not that your parents had or your grandparents. You don't have the luxury of spending the next 10 years trying to figure out what you want to do for the next 40. You don't have that luxury. I'm sorry. They sold you out. They sold you down the river. Barack Obama just legalized a bunch of illegal aliens, and now they're going to get tax refunds up to the amount of $24,000. Ma'am, they are pushing you, your young black children, your young black folk, and that's what you all are going to be going up against. We're still fighting for reparations, but they're about to break these folk off they're about to break these people off up to $24,000. And got black folk out here, we can't get reparations. That's what you are going out into on your own. Now, the fact that you called me, that tells me you don't have anybody in your family who owns a business or can even help you. They don't know anything.
That's true.
And now they've left you helpless because you're 24 and you realize that, man, I'm at a hell of a disadvantage out here.
Yes.
And you're like, what do I do? Because I don't have anybody even ask, how do I fix this? So I will tell you what you need to do. You need to have a skill.
Okay.
If you don't have anybody in your family, you only have two routes you can go. You can go to work for somebody and overthrow your employer. That's one route. Or you can go to school, make sure you're learning something that is definitely useful. But there's got to be something that's definitely useful. There's not a whole lot of them that are applicable to the real world. Computer programming is and will be for a very long time. Engineering is and will be for a very long time. Accounting, is once you start getting off into other things that you start getting into trouble. Now, here's the real question is, what do you want to do?
Can I let you know, like, some of the skills I actually do have?
Okay.
I actually know some web development, and I know how to speak, like, 4 or 5 different languages fluently.
Okay.
Those are, like, my main skills, and I also play guitar. Like, that's also an instrument I know how to play.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it when it comes to, I guess, skills.
Okay. In the interest of being brutally frank with you, because you're getting old, long in the tooth, and you don't have a lot of time, of the 3 things that you just named, only one of them would actually be applicable anywhere. As far as making money, only one of them would be. And the reason for that...
Web development?
No. Because what does that mean? Thank you. How are you going to capitalize on a skill that you cannot even define and tell me what it is?
That's true.
Okay, so let's just skip past that one. So I don't know what you meant by web development, and the problem is I'm not sure you're very sure about it either, but let's just take that off the table since it's not very clear what that means. Now, next up.
I mean, I know what web development is.
Okay, well, in the context
I wasn't so sure what you meant.
In the context that you were telling me about it, what is it? You're the one who says the skill. I'm saying tell me what this skill is. What is it?
Well, I guess the way I can describe it is it's different skills. It's not just the whole knowing how to, like, make a website, but it's also, like, very important to know, like, programming languages.
Okay, because I just asked
and,
you,
like,
what does that mean? And the first thing out of your mouth was, well, it's about more than just knowing how to make a website. Well, what exactly are you doing? Because you're saying it has more to do with that and languages. But you didn't start off saying I can program in a language. You didn't say that, because if you had meant web programming, you would have said web programming. You didn't say that. So
I guess because, like, web development is kind of like a general way of saying it.
Okay, I set up several websites.
Different things involved.
I set up several websites, so there's nothing you're going to tell me about setting up websites that I don't already know. So why is it you can't just explain in simple English what is, quote, web development? You've been asked 2 times now, and neither time have you been able to actually explain what it is. And that's why I was telling you before, maybe we should just skip this subject, because clearly what you're trying to convince people is there, clearly it is not there. Not to the extent that you can use it, because if you can't clearly explain to me exactly what it is, you can't use it. So whatever it is you think web development is, I'm telling you it's not something you can make any money off of, because you can't even, if I were an employer or a business partner, you can't even tell me what it is you're bringing to the table, and I've asked you twice. I'm not going to beat up on you, but I'll give you an example here. Now, there's really only two areas that come into, quote, web development. What is it that you do that you call web development? What is the skill that you have that a website owner would use?
I guess I don't really know how to go about it. I mean, I do know like markup languages. I'm not really good with
Okay, you said markup.
because I haven't gotten.
Okay, you said markup languages. What does that mean?
you know, like HTML, like CSS,
Okay.
JavaScript. I
Those are
haven't
not.
gotten into
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
the
Those are not markup languages. Those are languages. Now you just named off languages. Now, when you say that I know HTML, you're saying I know how to do programming.
Okay.
Now, when you were asked about it, you didn't say that. It took 3 times to question you with me specifically asking you what it was before you even named something. And so that tells me that you're making a claim here. And when you're going to get in front of somebody and they're going to say, oh, great, you're the person I've been looking for. I need for you to do my website, make it look like this and make it look like that. And you're going to have a deer in the headlights look. Because the rubber just met the road. And it's very easy to tell somebody you know how to do something. It's very difficult to actually have the knowledge. So, Tammy, let's just skip this web development thing. I don't think there's a there. Let's just skip that for now. We can come back to that at a later date. Your guitar work. You're a musician. How well do you play guitar? Doesn't really matter.
I've been playing since I was 13, but I'm
doesn't
okay.
really matter.
Like, I'm not like great, but
Okay, and that's why I say it doesn't really matter. Because you see, if you've got the level of expertise at music that you did at web development, I know that you have not actually learned how to be, you haven't learned how full proficiency with the guitar. You haven't learned how to sight read. Now, I'm a musician, okay? And I do play guitar. And piano, and drums, and well, I won't start bragging here. I do play instruments. And for those of you who went to go watch 7 a.m., you heard some of my work. And that wasn't even in-depth work. I didn't even put the best stuff on 7 a.m. But I'm a musician. It is very difficult to make money at music unless you do it full-time and have a lot of connections. You would not be saying, I play guitar and I can do something with it if you knew people. You'd be like Beyonce and you would already be with them. So, let's move past that one, since that one's not an option. Now, you didn't know computer programming languages, but you say that you know several different languages. And you use the word, fluent. Now, you should never use the word fluent unless you actually mean fluent.
Okay.
Fluent does not mean como se llamo. Me llamo Tammy. It doesn't mean where's the bus station. It means, hey, I'm Felipe. Are you Tammy? And you respond to him with, I don't know who you are, Felipe. And he says, sure you do. We came up here from Tijuana. And you're saying all that in Spanish. Okay. What are the languages you speak?
Spanish, Portuguese,
Okay.
and Haitian Creole.
Okay, that's 3 languages.
Well, in English, obviously, but that's it.
Okay, so we have 4 languages here. For the sake of not seeming I'm being too punishing, I'm not going to start speaking Spanish to you, okay?
Why?
Because I don't think you're going to have more efficiency in the Spanish language than you did in computer language. And I just don't think, I think it would be mean if I were to do that. So that's why I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, but you haven't even tried.
Because we've already seen so far about computer languages and music. You've already made 2 claims on 2 things. I'm willing to go with my gut right now and say that the past is the best indicator of the future. So let's just skip past that for now, okay? Well, let's just say that you got the language thing, okay? Now, you notice I named those first 2 things first, web development and music. I tossed those out immediately. If you do know multiple languages, there are some things you can do with that, but to be totally honest with you, that's rather limited. One of the reasons why they're legalizing all these illegals is because they will come across the border bilingual.
True.
So there goes your Spanish card. Portuguese. There are only a few corporations that pay people who are bilingual in Portuguese. Only a few. Now, the United Nations has a program for people, and it's usually a bunch of women, but people who are fluent in multiple languages. The United Nations has a job for that, and I think they pay those women an outrageous amount of money. It's like $300 an hour or something like that. Maybe you can go talk to them.
Aren't they usually like diplomats?
That too. But my point is, there's not, contrary to what you all were told 15 years ago, being bilingual never actually became a valuable skill across the board. There's just a few places where it's valuable. It never actually took off like computer programming did. So it's great that you know more than one language. If you do, that's great. Just not going to be a whole lot of use for it, but you'll have more use for that than you will for your progress in web development and music. You'll have more use for it there. You'll have more utility there if you can get somebody who'll pay you for it. And the fact that you are asking about it shows that either you haven't been looking or you have been looking, and like I said, the opportunities are just not there. So which one is it?
Okay.
Have you been looking, or you have been looking and you're not seeing much?
I have been looking, but I haven't really been seeing anything.
Okay.
It just doesn't, I don't know, it just seems hopeless, because originally that was what I've always wanted to do, like something with language, but then over time, you know, I got other interests, you know, like later on I got into like, you know, web development and everything, but I don't know, it's just, I'm kind of like, I just don't know what to do, I guess, and I guess that's why I called, because like, kind of like what you were saying earlier, you know, my mom, she is from, like, she was born in the 50s, and nothing was left for me, and I'm still trying to figure myself out, and
okay,
I'm just not sure.
Let's deal with a couple of basic questions here, okay?
Okay.
Because I want to try to, I got other people waiting, and I want to try to get to as many people as I can. But let's deal with a couple of basics. And I'm asking these things for a reason. Because you're just starting out, and you said your mom. You did mention your dad.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey! We'll just leave that where it is, okay?
Okay.
We'll just leave it where it is. I'm not here to interrogate you about it. But I'm just saying, just notice the reason for my questions is because you've given me reasons for wanting to ask them. You mentioned your mom. You didn't mention your dad. So that tells me a couple of things right there. And it also tells me there are some warning signs I need to be watching out for. Now, you're 24 years old. Do you have any children?
No.
Okay. And do we have any weight issues?
No.
Be honest.
I am being honest.
Okay. Now, I can help you if you give me honest answers. I can't help you if you give me dishonest ones. The reason why I ask about that, ma'am, is because you live in a world where you're going to have all of your tools in place. So I want to make sure that everything that you have available to you is available and accessible. Right, wrong, or otherwise, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Better to have it and not need. If you look like Beyonce, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I'll just put it like that. Now, it won't open every door for you, but it'll open some. It sure helps. It doesn't guarantee success, but it sure helps. And if you're 24, it's not going to be available. It's not going to be the advantage for you that it is right now for very much longer. Use it while you got it. All right. Anyway, I'm not saying sleep with people. I'm saying get a conversation. Grease the skids. Make sure you have that available. All right, we have that in place. You don't sound like a nitwit, so that goes very well for you. If I were going to make a recommendation to you, I would absolutely tell you that because you mentioned computer sciences, you say computer engineering, but since I'm not sure you're clear on what exactly that means when you say computer engineering. If you want to go into the programming languages, I recommend that you take computer science. Now, you need to know what the languages are, and you need to pick a specific one. You don't walk in wandering your way around. You need to know where you're going. Otherwise, you will wander. You also have to have a goal. Don't think that, well, put me into something having to do with computers, and it will divine for me what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't work that way. You have to have a destination before you go in. You have to know what you want to do. If you want to make video games, you need to know that you need to know computer programming. If you want to design websites, you need to know that you need to look at HTML, JavaScript, and Perl. Facebook is written in Perl. All your big websites today are done in Perl. It's also probably the hardest language. My real point is, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need to know where you're going, and that will determine for you what you need to know. Now, you can get to a destination if you know where your destination is. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there from here. And it doesn't matter where you are, you can't get there from here. So you have to, you notice that I didn't start actually answer your questions like that. I'm answering your questions by getting you to give the answers, because you have to know where you're going. Jason Black can't know where you should go. You have to know that. And that's a difficult decision, but understand your parents left you nothing because they never could figure it out. And instead of them taking off in a direction and making it work, they instead decided peace, love, happiness, pass the weed, and free sex. And here's Tammy. Figure it out and make it on your own. And I hate that statement. Figure it out. People like me because I can give them answers. But for you, before you do anything, you have to know where you're going, Tammy. You have to know. So you have to know, where exactly are you going? Do you want to do websites? Do you want to do IT? Do you want to do video games? Do you want to do 3D software development? What exactly is it you want to do, Tammy?
I guess that's my problem. I'm just indecisive. I think that's what the issue is.
Okay, in that case then, what I'm going to recommend to you is that you should take a course in IT.
Okay.
And after you get started with that, that will familiarize you with a lot. And from there, you will be able to decide if you want to go on and get a programming language, and if you do, which programming language you want to get. Now, you can get an IT certification. You know, you can get your Microsoft certification. We got guys here on the website who will tell you about that. You know, but that would probably be the first thing you want to take a look into, is getting a certification for IT.
Because, you know, I did get myself started. I do know some of the programming languages.
Right.
Like, I've started with, like, you know, PHP and, like, Ruby on Rails. I haven't done anything with Perl.
Yeah, well, black folk are very good for half-ass doing things. And we're very good for starting on stuff. We're just not... That's why we don't have anybody we can talk to, because nobody ever finishes. We got a bunch of folk who know a little bit about this and a little bit about that. That's why we got all these shade tree mechanics messing up our cars, and nobody who's actually certified to be able to work on a car and do it right. Tammy, you're 24. You could spend the next 12 months, get certified, and be set for the rest of your life. Hell, with just a systems analyst certification, you'd be set. You could spend the next 12 months and do that, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. You don't have to even... It's no longer breathing down your neck. You can just decide what you want to do from there.
Okay, because to be honest, Jason, like, you know, it did take me a while to, like, enlighten myself, because, you know, I am reading, like, Claude Anderson's books. Like, I haven't, like, finished them yet. I've been listening to you for a while. I kind of just started, but I haven't been able to, like, watch your film, but I am looking forward to, you know, buying it when it comes out. But I'm really trying to see if I can, you know, empower myself, because I don't want to be a wreck my whole life, you know, because I know not everybody, you know, finds themselves at an early age, and not everybody has everything just set out for them, like when it comes to like their family, and I'm just trying to get myself together.
Well, first thing you want to do is you have strongly leaned towards computers. I think that's a good thing. You want to definitely get. I don't really want you jumping off into programming languages, because the real problem here is that you haven't actually settled on one. And I'm not going to tell somebody go learn Perl if they should be doing HTML, although HTML is kind of on its way out. Java is another good one. If you're going to start with a programming language, Java is a good one. You could learn that one in 3 to 6 months. As far as a certification that would help you get somewhere with somebody, that'd be different. Now, somebody like me who, I have things to use stuff for. I got websites, I got movies, so I'm one of those people, and I'm one of those people who's creative when I get a tool in my hands. You, though, may not be that type of person. So I'm not going to sit up here and throw Java in your hands and tell you, okay, do something creative with it. Because clearly you're trying to figure out where you want to go. I think it would be best for you to get into the world of computers so that you can see it from a 30,000-foot level. As an IT or systems analyst, you would be able to see all the types of systems that are out there, from video games to computers to networks, to graphics to websites. You would be able to see all of them. And if you want to get into programming, now that you've actually got an idea of what the systems do, now you can actually decide about a language. You're no longer making these decisions from a position of ignorance. You're making an informed decision because you know what you want to do, and you know what the languages can do. You know what skill sets will do. Now you know exactly where you're going, as opposed to just kicking the cans and fumbling around and seeing if something works.
Okay.
So that's going to be my recommendation to you. So I got a guy, if you're not a member of the Jason Black group, you definitely want to be. One of the guys in the group, his name is Marty. He's the only Marty. He's got glasses. He puts up videos and stuff. Marty is real good about that. If you'll send me a message, I will get him in contact with you. And he can go more in depth because he works in the field already. I'm not telling you what somebody told me. He works in the field already. So he is somebody that you can talk to, and he will be able to say to you, hey, this is the way you can get certified quickest. This is the quickest way to go. And from there, here's what you do. We don't play around here. We don't play around with wandering. I want to get you from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And once you get there, you'll make up your mind on your own. Everything will be available to you.
Okay, Jason, thank you.
Get in touch with me. We'll be glad to hear from you.
Okay.
Black first, sister. You have a good evening. Let's grab caller from 239. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello. My name is John from Florida.
What's on your mind, John?
Yeah, I was definitely hearing about that. My mom was born around the civil rights movement, so I can definitely tell that, being born in '84, that, it took me a little while, but I finally realized after listening to you that, that broadcast, when you were sold, how to know when you were sold down the river. And you was like, in that broadcast, you were saying how, ask your parents, like ask for a photo of your parents, what they were wearing. Because you was like, soak and silk is not old people. And notice what they were wearing. So I did see, my mom wearing that kind of stuff. So I can tell, okay, she was, spending money and doing all that stuff and not really passing anything down to me. So, I'm like, oh, okay, well. Now I'm out here on my own. Now I got to figure out what I want to do. So it's just like you said, they'll pass nothing down to y'all because nothing was left for me. So you just figure it out on your own, and that's it. And
biggest,
what I want to do.
The biggest disease in black society, somebody had posted this today, and he was dead right. The biggest disease in black society is not heart disease or liver disease or kidney disease or cancer. The biggest disease in black society is Stockholm Syndrome. Black people identify with their abusers, and then they become abusers to their own children. And that leads to the situation we've got right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was living in the housing projects too. Living in the housing projects, like, my mom was doing drugs and all that. So it was like, okay. And I got, I seen the environment I'm in, and it's like a whole bunch of pookie, ray whores and all sluts and all around me. So I got to keep my head on straight because I'm not trying to wind up in the situation they are in. So going around them, especially in school. So now I got, without a father figure, I got to figure out, I wasn't taught what a man's supposed to do. So I'm in a position where I have to learn as I go. And I have to learn from, other people, asking them questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? You know what I'm saying? And I shouldn't have to be learning like that. I should have a father who's able to teach me these things. Now I'm in a situation of disadvantage on top of being the poorest people on the planet. So now I'm poor, and now I don't really know nothing. Now I have to learn. You know what I'm saying? Even the basic things of even being a father. That's just crazy. But, I want to get into fashion. I want to make clothes for kids. So I do have skills in drawing and stuff like that. So that's what I want to do. That's my goal.
I think we have enough fashion designers out there. We don't have enough engineer designers. We don't have enough building designers. We don't have enough computer designers. I think we might have enough fashion designers, though. Yeah, I know. Especially with Project Runway and the show or trends that I'm. Dude, you got Kanye. Kanye is trying to spend $1 million or $2 million trying to get into the fashion industry. As black folk, we tend to focus on superficial things because we're afraid of heavy lifting. Engineering is heavy lifting, and we're scared of that. Computer programming is heavy lifting. We're scared of that. Movie making and videography, that's actually learning the craft of it, not just thinking you can turn on the camera and turn on the microphone. Here we go. Learning video editing and stuff. That's heavy lifting. And we tend to avoid things that are heavy lifting. The reason why they took home ec out of school is because sewing is something that you can teach somebody in 30 days. Computer programming takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, just like that video that you played with New Media Cinema Slaves. Yeah. That's how we just sit back and let them do all the heavy lifting, and all our obligation is to get a job and get something out of their machine, which you said was obsolete. So, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we let them do all the heavy lifting. So, I mean, the only thing is, though, I was focusing on kids because that's a field that most designers don't do that. They focus on adults, excuse me. So that's what I was like, wait a minute, why you ain't doing nothing for the kids? So I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. I do understand that there are a lot of designers for, fashion design. I understand that. But I just feel like for that particular, for children, especially like from 2 on up to 18, they're not really focusing on that. So I was like, okay, well, now I'll go in that field. I don't care. I can work hard. I can do the heavy lifting. It's not a problem. I don't care how many designers there are. It's like, I always thought, like, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Well, definitely, like I say, the first step is understanding that you are the solution. Dr. Anderson wrote his books so that when you got done with it, you would put the book down and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And like the young woman, Tammy, who just called us, she's had that moment. She can put Dr. Anderson's books down now, to be totally honest with you. She doesn't need to read another book from him. She doesn't need to watch 7 a.m. She's got the point. The whole point of 7 a.m. is to get you to a point where you say, hey, I need to get up and do something. Once we get you there, you don't need the books anymore. You don't need them anymore. So as long as you're there, brother, like I say, you've reached the promised land as long as you're there. As long as you understand that it's time to do something, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. Power, wealth, and influence. Yeah. I mean, because your bread and butter is socioeconomics, so, getting other black people to get up off their behind and do something. Stop worrying about weed, sex, and validation.
Well, we tend to do that.
Attention.
We tend to do that because we want the easy way out. And the great scam of it is that there is no easy way out. Everybody's trying to look for an easy way out and a quick hustle, and the bottom line is there is none. There isn't.
Yeah, like in that video, homie hookup, homie hater homie hookups. You know, instead of spending money for the best information, we trying to do the bare minimum and get information free. Like that comment that dude made where he was allowed to sell DVDs and get it for free, something like that. That was the dustiest thing I've ever seen. So
well, we have plenty of that too. We have plenty of that too.
Yeah.
But that, like I say, it's our job to understand that the age of that working is dying right now, dude. Hell, they just took down Kick-Ass Torrents. Pirate Bay is back offline. You know, trying to make a life and a career as they take these people off the internet, they can go back to focusing on the streets again. And trying to be the bootleg man and the cable. You see, the cable TV people got rid of the cable guys. The dudes used to be able to climb the pole and hook you up with cable. Now you can't do that no more. You can't do that anymore. Now they got digital boxes to decode it. You can't do that anymore. Everybody who's still playing by 1978 rules, man, it's over. Dude, it's over. We're going to catch all of them starving. Real talk.
Huh. Yeah.
I'll let you have the last word.
No, I'm just glad I can, call in and speak and, get into the intelligent black society and listening every day you broadcast. And I'm on the Jason Black Room and connect with people, so I'm just happy, and just keep out the work, brother. Black first. Black
first as always. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. I was talking earlier this week, and we were talking about Beyonce or Kanye earlier, and that reminded me about Beyonce. And you notice that, like with her, she says she wanted to be Latina. Y'all remember her saying that a few years back. I think when she put out the Sasha Fierce album, and I wish I could be Latina. Now, some people might think that's shameless pandering to a Spanish-speaking audience, but I don't. I think she meant it like that. I do. I do. And her behavior shows that. You see, they've already prepared the next generation of liars and deceivers to mislead us into the future. They've already prepared them. Already. Barack Obama has no relation to the black experience whatsoever. He knows nothing about us as a people. Nothing. Nothing at all. And guess what? Neither does Beyonce Knowles. Beyonce Knowles knows nothing about black society. Nothing whatsoever. Tell me, what hardship has Beyonce been through? I'll wait. Show me what connection to us she has. Show me her run-ins with the law and police brutality. Show me the most racist thing that has ever happened to Beyonce Knowles in her entire life. Has she ever been called nigger by anybody? Ever? What is the most difficult situation that has ever happened to her for being black? Oh, I didn't get a Grammy. It's tough being black. I didn't get a Grammy. We keep looking up to and idolizing people, and I'm not begrudging her success. I think that's great. I think her dad did exactly what it's supposed to be. Now, the flip side of that is, by the way, we shouldn't be idolizing this because she has no connection to us. And we keep giving a pass to people who have no connection to us whatsoever. None. As I stated, her idea of car trouble is my limousine broke down. And these are the people making your music. 7-Eleven and all this garbage. But she won't talk about what's happening in black society. And the reason why is because she doesn't understand it. What's she going to talk about? The housing projects? Is she going to talk about the police harassing you? Is she going to talk about being discriminated against on the job because you're black? She doesn't say anything about white supremacy. Nothing at all. I got a feeling she's going to develop a social consciousness here in the next 5 years, though. You'll hear her say something she's never said before. You're going to hear her say that she's black. Have you ever heard Beyonce Knowles say that she's black? Nope. Nicki Minaj is on her way out. All of a sudden now she can say black. All of a sudden she can say that now. We keep allowing people to mislead us. No wonder the children are left swinging in the wind when white supremacy comes for them, because we've created a culture where we follow the people who can do nothing for us and we ignore the people who can do everything for us. In black society, you ain't got no businesses, but you got churches on every corner. We follow religious leaders. We ignore business leaders. That's what we do. And consequently, you got a bunch of churches. You don't have any businesses. Oh, wait a minute. I'm wrong. You do have businesses in black society. They're just not black owned. The businesses in black society are not black owned. Just thought I'd throw that in there for you. Grab another caller here on the line. Caller from 313. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, you're on live.
Turn it off one.
Okay, this fella here is watching Dr. Zhivago or something. Caller from 504. You're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, caller from 504 hung up. I guess the people came and got him. Grab caller from 951. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Black First, this is Mona Lachey, but I did not push one. I'm still at work.
I don't know why you didn't push one, Mona.
I did not push one.
Okay, ma'am. You probably should have.
Okay.
Try it now. Okay, we're gonna let the phone lines rest for a little bit. I figured 3 strikes in a row. One person was out to lunch. Another one was working on his orchestra horror music. And then we got Mona, who's in and out of touch. But I started off here tonight by informing you all that this is full-fledged warfare. And we can't make it any clearer to you. This is full-fledged, no-holds-barred, bare-knuckle warfare on you now. Targeting you, and now shamelessly targeting your children, because black people do not practice ethnic genocide like that. Black people do not go off to find groups of non-black people and target their children for annihilation and death. We don't do that. We don't do that, but what is bad, what is unforgivable, is that black parents for 5 generations now have refused to teach their children that you are being targeted. We refuse to tell our children that they're being targeted by these groups. We refuse to teach our children that they are in the crosshairs. We refuse to do that. And that is treason against your own children. That's treason. That's betrayal of your children when you know that they are going off into a bad situation, that they're going off into a situation where they will be, not they might be, they will be targeted, and you are not teaching them anything else. If you're not teaching your children that they are under siege and who their enemies are, you are betraying those children. Because those children need to know. Those children need to know that when they get to the 5th grade and the teacher is helping the white kids but not helping them, your kids need to know that. And the first time they get pulled over by the police, they need to be taught to understand why that happened. And it's a damn shame that in black society, the people who are most targeted, on earth, and we've got the least to show for it. It is a damn shame that we allow that to happen. I think I see somebody here. Let me grab Caller from 262. Is this a malicious individual?
Just listening.
Okay. Another person right here who needs some help with their keypads. I'm going to have to teach them how to do that. I'm going to start calling these people the L squad. L for listening. You took an L. I thought that was somebody else for a moment there. That's the only reason why I answered it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked up the phone at all. But in the day and age where they're targeting our children, you would think that everybody would be on board. You would think that, and you'd be dead damn wrong. You would think it, and you'd be dead wrong. I had somebody today who told me that we need more party music. I mean, seriously. When I said, you know, they said that that wasn't what we talked about back in the 60s and 70s. I said, you're a damn lie. We had Earth, Wind, and Fire in the 70s and 80s. Earth, Wind, and Fire, System of Survival. We had Isaac Hayes. We had Marvin Gaye. We had Sam Cooke. They were using their songs to teach the people. Curtis Mayweather. Africa Bambaataa, they were using their music to teach the people. The Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. They were using their music as a medium to teach the people. It wasn't a bunch of damn club music. You had a little dance music and the rest of it Marvin Gaye, Inner City Blues, Mercy, Mercy Me. And the record companies told him, don't do that. No, this was back in the 70s. The record company told him, do not do that. They said, don't put out that kind of music. Oh, Confidence corrected me there. Did I say... No, did I say Curtis Mayweather? Good Lord. I got boxers on the brain. Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield. I can't believe I said that. Yes, I can. I got boxers on the brain because I want to do some criticizing and I can't do it right now. But yeah, you're right. Curtis Mayfield, James Brown, Gil Scott-Heron. But this Negro here wants us to go back to partying. They are gunning black people down in the streets and they want us to party. But then again, she fancied herself some kind of little some type of little local model. So, of course, she has a vested interest in black people not being serious. And that's something that we need to talk about. The people who sit in our midst. The people who sit in our midst and tell us that we can't do any different. That you need to keep partying. You need to keep ignoring things. The people who sit right next to us and tell us everything's all right. Mike Brown getting gunned down. Well, hey, don't worry about that. Tamir Rice, don't worry about that. Akai Gurley, don't worry about that. Eric Garner, don't worry about that. Trayvon Martin, don't worry. We have people sitting right next to us trying to do the work of white supremacy for us. There are a bunch of folk in black society trying to do the work of white supremacy for them. Because they have a vested interest in making sure that things do not change. Because they understand how unprepared they are for a competitive black society. Dr. Claude Anderson, and we go into this in 7 a.m. where he talks about that when you live in a competitive society, and as black people, we live in a competitive society. And under capitalism, you live in a competitive society. And they understand that they want their bedwench credentials. She wants her bedwench credentials. These guys out here want their dusty Negro credentials so they can try to carve off something from white daddy. But they have a vested interest in making sure that things never change. Because they've bet all their chips on making sure that white daddy is happy with them. They have no investment in black society whatsoever. And she had pictures of herself where she was the only black person in the whole frame. Her with 4 and 5 different other women. and she's the only black person there. You think she wants to see black empowerment? Hell no. She is against that because she sees black empowerment as a threat to her and everything. Clarence Thomas sees black empowerment as a threat. Why? Because he understands that by being the only Negro in the room, he gets pet status. And if more black people have power, wealth, and influence, he can no longer negotiate to be the pet. As long as black people are oppressed and held down, he can negotiate for a pet status. He can negotiate to be the most powerful of the powerless people. Use me as your mascot. I volunteer. Ooh, 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 pick me. Use me as your mascot. Choose me as your mascot so you can tell black people that you're not really racist. I'll go along with it as long as you make sure none of the others are able to come and follow me. I'll go along with it. You all notice they got, what, 3 women on the Supreme Court. You got 3 women. You have 2 Jewish females on the Supreme Court. You only got 1 black person. Black folk are 13% of the population. You have 3 women. You have 2 Jews. Well, 2 Jewish females, if you really want to get off into those numbers. But you've only got 1 black person on the Supreme Court, and another black person hasn't even been considered. They got their token Negro, and that's all they intend to let through. And he's playing for the other team. He's not even playing for us. You went from Thurgood Marshall to Clarence Thomas. You had exactly 2 black people on the Supreme Court, and that is it. 2. And you're done. 2. That's it. That's it. And he has a vested interest in making sure that black people stay poor, downtrodden, and destitute. Because he has no power among black people. He only has power amongst the dominant society as a pet to run interference for their bigotry. So he has every intention of making sure that all the rest of us stay helpless and powerless. He's got a vested interest in that. Now, you don't have to believe that's what it is, but that's what it is. You don't have to believe it's that serious, but it's that serious. And what's worse is that you have a few of them who made it to the top, but you got a whole bunch of other people fighting and scratching and scraping and clawing for their chance to be the pet too. What do you think Nicki Minaj is all about? And for every Nicki Minaj, I want you all to think about this for just a moment. For every Nicki Minaj who is able to slut her way into that position, you've got 1,000 of them who tried to get in and failed. Oh, I'm going to say it like it is. And that number is probably very conservative. For every Nicki Minaj, for every Lil' Kim, for every Raven Simone, you got 1,000 other buck dancing Negroes who tried to get in, who were willing to sell their souls and probably willing to do a hell of a whole lot worse and couldn't make it. Oh yeah, it's just that serious. For every one that you see on TV, you've got thousands more who couldn't make it, but they wanted to get in, and those are the ones you don't see. Those are the ones at your job. Those are the ones turning up their nose at you at Walmart. Those are the ones who are pulling you over for traffic tickets. Those are the ones giving you bad customer service. Those are the ones who are sitting up here talking about, I'm going to go get the new Jordans. I'm going to get my hair done. Those are the ones that they could not get to a corporate level to sell you out, but they're out here in the streets doing the bidding as if they are, because they're waiting for the day that maybe in the back of their minds they tell themselves that lack of courtesy to you, that discourteousness to you, They tell themselves in their minds, in their heads, that white supremacy was watching that and white supremacy gave the thumbs up. And that if I can get enough of these thumbs up, I'll get called up to the majors too. I'll get called up too. This is why in black society the children don't have anything. The children are left helpless and the children don't have anything because the parents are out here trying to figure out, how can I get something for me? Damn these kids. And that's how you ended up with a bunch of black children winning the Little League Championship and getting it snatched out of their hands in front of the whole world. I wouldn't be surprised if there's sanctions against the school that prevent them from even competing. Well, you broke this rule, so now you can't compete against us for the next 2 or 3 years. Give those little kids time to cycle out. We're going to give the kids you currently got time to cycle out so that you have to start all over again. And by the time you start over with a new group of kids, we'll have a whole new set of new nigga laws to trip you up with. We'll have a whole new set of laws to trip you, whole new set of rules to trick you up with. A whole new set. This is the game that they're playing. They're not playing the game that says they're going to spare any blows. They're not going to have any mercy on you. And some of you get that, but a lot of you don't. A lot of you don't. We had some Negroes today. They were buck dancing and tap dancing. One Negro from Cameroon, he was more concerned about gays than anything else. Little scrawny fella. Built like a fudgesicle. Putting up pictures of him and his white gay lover. So if you think that coonery is confined to the shores of North America, you clearly are ignorant of the situation that we are in as Africans around the world today. You think you're going to go to Africa and be safe. White supremacy is everywhere, and guess what? They start on the children over there too, by the way. They got it perfected. They start on the children there too. They start on the children there too. They're not going to spare our kids, people. They're not going to spare these babies. And it's you! If you have no power, wealth, or influence, if you have no assets, but you got children, you got no assets, but you have children, you are a traitor to your children. I called you that to your face. You are a traitor to your children. You're a traitor. You are guilty of high treason against your children if you got kids and no assets. You are a Benedict Arnold to your own children. You are a Benedict Arnold. I'm calling it like it is. Because white supremacy depends on a certain... Oh, man, I had a few folk jump off when I said that. Saw my numbers drop once I said that right there. That if you got kids and no assets, that you're a traitor. I saw my numbers fall a little bit there. Saw my numbers fall a little bit. That offended a bunch of people. Well, let me make sure I hammer it home here for you. I want to make sure you are as offended as hell. So let me repeat that. If you have kids, but you have no power, wealth, influence, or assets, but you got kids, you got children, but no assets, you are a dirty, backstabbing, low-life, belly-crawling, unsympathetic, jackass, boot-licking traitor. You are guilty of treason against your children. As a matter of fact, Benedict Arnold was less of a traitor than you are. Because Benedict Arnold did it and was actually getting something out of it. You are betraying your children and getting nothing out of it except the ability to hide and cower some more. You've been cowering and hiding from your own children, and now all you've really done is cultivate the ability to keep doing it. You're a traitor. And I want those kids to know what you did. I made this broadcast because I want your children to know what you did to them. So that it's recorded somewhere that they won't be able to have somebody come up to them and say, well, your parents didn't know no better. Well, you see, white supremacy was too big and bad. What could they do? They were only 13% of the population, and we got folk out here who are less of the population than us and kicking ass. Did you all realize, I posted this earlier today, do you realize that the Mormons have more power than black people today? Do you all realize that the Mormons have more power than black people today? Did you understand that? Do you realize that gays, 4% of the population at most, gays have more power than black people do? And that includes the black gays, by the way. That includes them. You go all over Hollywood, Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry, you're tripping over black gays all over the place. Will Smith. We won't even get into the females. Hey, Oprah. How you doing? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that? Okay. I wasn't supposed to say that. Alright, I wasn't supposed to say that. Alright. The Jehovah's Witnesses got more power than black people do. The Jacksons, the Wayans. You see, to be a part of that group, they actually have requirements. In black society, there is no code and there are no requirements. This is why you got Eminem representing y'all. Everybody, did you notice how they pulled that sleight of hand too, by the way? I had people on my page talking about Iggy Azalea didn't win Album of the Year or whatever. Yeah, but did you see who won rapper? Here comes Eminem again. You call that a win? At least Iggy Azalea didn't get it. Who got it? Eminem! You call that a win? You call that a win? You think that was the better alternative? We got a bunch of folk out here who have absolutely no damn clue. But they're sitting right next to the rest of you and trying to inform you of what you should be doing. While they're sitting right next to you. There's a reason why I don't tolerate that kind of behavior. See if I can take another phone call here. They've been waiting for a while. Caller from 239. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, yeah, I already spoke. I'm just listening in again.
Okay, I'm going to need to teach people how to use the number 1 on their keypads. They're going to need to use number 1. I'm going to bring in Big Bird and Ernie. Big Bird, Bert, and Ernie to do a review of the number system. I had people sitting up here telling me that Eminem winning instead of Iggy Azalea, that was a win. That's a win in their minds. That's a win in their heads. And the fact that somebody would say that tells you that they are totally devoid of a power concept. No wonder we can't define racism. We are a people devoid of a power concept. We don't understand what power is, how power works, or what it's supposed to do. We don't know. No wonder we keep reacting so inappropriately when it does happen. Because we don't actually know what power is supposed to do. They are using their power against our children blatantly. And when I say that we're supposed to build black institutions and at least give our children an alternative that is not going to be set up to crush them. Black folk only want to sit up here and talk about bands in colleges. Ain't no bands making money. Grambling State's marching band. Arkansas Pine Bluff. We want to talk about all these bands and whatnot. The bands ain't making no money. You compare your college bands to the NCAA. Did you notice the white folk? Did you notice that your NCAA colleges are not inviting Grambling? They're not offering these black colleges that got the best, quote-unquote, best marching bands in the country. You notice they don't invite you in for that. Did you notice that? When the white schools have their battle of the bands, you notice they don't bring Grambling. They don't invite you. They got rule. Oh, no. You can't come. Oh, it's going to be a battle of the bands, and the first band we're going to beat is you. You can't show up. We don't care how hard your students have been training. We don't care how good your marching band is. Nobody's ever going to see you. Not on our TV cameras, they're not. We got a special area reserved for you. A special area reserved, that's the nigger wing. We got this closet picked out for niggas, and this is where you go. You go in this closet. That's why they got hip-hop and R&B as their own awards, because they got tired of Michael Jackson kicking their ass. So they made a new category. And that's why Michael Jackson's, oh no, you're not going to call me R&B. I am the king of pop. And I ain't giving up my throne. I'm going to sit right here with all your little young white kids. I'm sitting right here. You're not going to make some special category and go toss me off into it. A category where the whites are not expected to compete. R&B is just another word for racist black. Racist against blacks. That's your R&B. So we don't have to put you in the pop or the rock category. We don't have to put you there. We made R&B to make sure you stay separated from us. We made hip-hop so you can stay separated from us. And you notice they'll let Eminem and Iggy Azalea cross over from pop into rap. They'll let them cross over from the white side and start making incursions and taking over even the special made category that they segregated off for you. They let them come over to yours. They won't let you go over to theirs. You can't go into rock music. You can't go into country. And we made them, but you can't go there. Doesn't matter how good you are. You can't go. You can't go. It's the 21st century. It's time for us to tell them kiss our ass. And I'm saying it just like I mean it. It's time for us to tell them to kiss our black asses. I don't want to see another black child having to sit up here and do without. Oprah Winfrey, you dirty dog. This heifer sat up here and spent millions of dollars in South Africa for a lesbian school for girls and black children in Chicago, in her town, in the United States, and she ain't gave a dime for them kids. Because she agrees with the mentality that says brutalize and devastate because they're black. Number one, because they're black. Number two, because they're boys. They will promote you if you are a feckless, shameless, psychotic. They will promote you. In white supremacy, they will herald you. They knew her mental and emotional problems. She gets on TV. She tells y'all all the time. This woman cannot help but to tell you about her mental and emotional problems. I was molested as a child. I was physically abused. They sent me off with my daddy. I felt lost and listless. She talks about it and breaks down crying about it to this day. She is a mental case. She is not damaged, people. She is a mental case. She's a mental case. And every white supremacist who's spoken to her can see it. They see the way she turns up her nose at black folk, and they see how her face turns and goes completely soft when she looks at them. And they say, this is a whore that will produce. No, Farrakhan ain't gonna call it out like that. No, you're not gonna have anybody else say it like that. But if they gonna set you out, when you get set out, you get set out for a reason. Nicki Minaj got set out for a reason. Beyonce Knowles got set out for a reason. Foxy Brown, every black female you can name gets set out. Rihanna, Janet Jackson, LaToya Jackson. If she's a black female, she gets set out. Kelly Rowland. They get set out like hoes. They make sure that you understand you getting set out. And the only reason you set a hoe out is to produce. She is getting set out to produce. Because you know she's going to produce for you. And she sees what's happening. She knows what's happening, and she's letting you know, I am on their side. I'm on the side of white supremacy. I'm not on your side. I'm with the bad guys. That's my team. My team is the one that's discriminating against you. If you don't believe that this is the most dangerous, perilous time in history for Africans, then you're just a fool or a liar, or you're on the side of white supremacy. And you believe that you can carve out a niche for yourself and hang the rest of us. You all better take it that seriously, because it is that serious. It is just that serious. We ought to be gathering up every single black little league around this country. And you should be starting from there. You should get them all together for their own conference. They should be getting space in the biggest stadiums. And watch those kids sit up here and slug it out of the park. And their numbers will be the numbers. Because let me tell you something, folks. We as black people, this is the delusion that we work under as black people. We have the delusion that if we build it, nobody will show up for it, even if it's the best that there is. But we worry that let me rephrase that. We worry that white people will not show up. That if we build it, white people will not show up for it, and it will fail because they won't show up. Now, when it comes to rap and hair weaves and tennis shoes, we don't say that. But for everything else, that's our excuse for not doing it. Now, we're not scared to do it for this other coon stuff, but things are really productive. That's our excuse. That's our use-all excuse for never doing it. If we can't get them to show up, then it ain't worth doing. Meanwhile, they grab your children. They grab your high schoolers. The NBA is a black man's league, but a black man doesn't own it and doesn't control it. But they don't have a problem putting all black teams out there on the field and getting billions of dollars in revenue. They take all black teams and put them out there on the field. NWA was an all black production. They put it out there on the field. They will take you, and they don't have a problem with dealing with all black organizations and all black structures and all black groups. They will do it in a heartbeat. It's black folk who say we can't do it. And the people that we're scared of, they do it every day. They put out a black product every single day. Every day. They put out a black product all the time. We are the only people who are afraid that if we put out a black product, nobody will come see it. And you notice you never say that when it comes to restaurants? Do you notice you never said that? You never sit up here and say, I gotta make my food seem more like the Italian restaurant because I'm black and we need more Italians to come be our customers. You say, I gotta have the best food in town. I gotta do the best there is at what I do, and that is what will attract the customers from everywhere. Because you see, at the end of the day, there ain't nothing like the real thing. Even during segregation, you had white folks showing up for the games of the Negro Leagues. You had white folks showing up at the black clubs, at the black bars, at the black dance clubs, at the black restaurants. You had them showing up back when we used to have confidence in ourselves. The reason that these other people do not show up for us today is because we ain't got confidence in ourselves for a damn thing except to be rappers and ball players. Now that we got confidence in ourselves at. And nobody is going to pay money to show up to see somebody sit up here and whine and pitch and moan about how pitiful they are. If we exercise the same amount of confidence with our children that we do in the employ of other people, we'd have it already. I would get together every black school, and from the college level to the middle school level, and that would be the last time the NCAA would see us. That would be the last time. That would be it. You would not see them again. You would not see them again. Magic Johnson had no problem trying to get together $1 billion to buy the Clippers. People, for $1 billion, you could start your own sports league. Damn sure could do your own little league for $1 billion. Are you all still going to try to give excuses? Are you going to sit here and tell me that $1 billion is not enough money? He needs more than that? Are you going to try that lie? Are you going to try to resort to that lie? That he couldn't do it because he didn't have enough money? So $1 million ain't enough, 10 million ain't enough, 100 million ain't enough, $1 billion is not enough. What are you going to say next? 10 billion is not enough? It never ends, because the fact of the matter is that you're a coward. And that at the end of the day, you don't want black empowerment, you want white approval. And the only way that you can continue to get white approval from white supremacy is if you are subservient. And there's a whole bunch of people willing to sell out themselves, and now, shamefully enough, they are willing to sell out their own children to see that through. They're willing to sell out their own children. Now, I want to know if you're going to be different. Or are you going to be the same? Your grandparents sold you out. Your parents sold you out. Now it's your turn. Are you going to sell out your kids? Because we already sold out Jackie Robinson West. You already sold those kids out. Those are a bunch of kids who are going to be scarred for life. We already sold them out. Who's next? Next, is it going to be your kid and you're going to try to tell everybody about how great a parent you are? Is it going to be your kid next? Is it going to be your kid who has no opportunities because you're waiting for a white God to descend from the heavens to shower your children with things you didn't? To give your children opportunities that you did not? Brothers and sisters, we need to declare war against the black folk who are having children and leaving them no assets. We have to declare war against them. There can be no tolerance for that. None. That's what we're about. That's what I'm about. How about you? Another reminder for everyone here today, 7 a.m. is going to be playing in Cincinnati, Ohio on February 21st. If you have not seen it, or if this is your first time hearing about the most important documentary of all time, if you live in Cincinnati, you want to go to our website, 7ammovie.com. That's 7ammovie, the number 7ammovie.com. You can go there. You can see some clips from the movie itself. You can see why it is the most important documentary of all time and why you need to be there. Cincinnati, Ohio on February 21st and Columbus, Ohio on February 28th. That's right. We're hitting Ohio now. You definitely want to go there. It's got links on the website. You can click on where it says tickets, and that'll take you to the page where you can buy your tickets. So if you're in that Ohio area, Illinois, Wisconsin, all that area up there, it's worth the drive. It's worth the effort. You can go and you can go see it for yourselves. The most important documentary of all time. It's your chance to be a part of it here. We'll have updates on the DVDs here soon, of course. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.